Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Zolani Tete, the South African fighter, former WBO bantamweight champ and IBF super flyweight champ. He's back because at 34, he's now the Commonwealth bantamweight champ, super bantamweight champ actually. And he also won the IBF international super bantamweight title, whatever that means. I suppose it gets him a ranking. But he knocked out Jason Cunningham, who was the champ. Cunningham was on a real sort of Indian summer of his career. 5 years ago, he got stopped in 6 by Reece Bellotti, but since then he came back. He had 6 losses on his record. It's now 7, and he beat Gamaliel Fai in an upset. That was in 2021. Won the EBU title, then took on the undefeated Brad Foster, and ended up as Commonwealth, British, and EBU champ because he beat Foster on points. So, you know, he's really overachieved, I suppose you'd say, although those early defeats were, you know, mostly to pretty good men, to pretty good domestic level guys. Now, Jordan Gill beat him over 10 rounds point decision. Michael Conlon had him at 10 round decision. I mean, he's always been in the mix. Kaliafai, he beat him over 12, and that was for the British Superfly title, and that was way back in 2015. So all these defeats, he clearly learnt from them and put himself into a position where, he could possibly fight for a world title. He'd won 7 fights since his last defeat, which was to Michael Conlon over 10 rounds. And that was one of those. I think it was a WBO international trinket or intercontinental trinket or something like that. I don't know what the hell it was. It was some, but since then he's put 7 victories together. So he was on the verge of fighting for a world title, and in steps Zolani Tete, who, like I say, a 2-weight belt holder, a world belt holder, very, very good fighter, real hard hitter, and very slick. Came over here many years ago, 2014, 2015, I think, knocked out Paul Butler, handed Butler his first defeat, knocked him out in 8 rounds with a single punch. That was for the IBF Superfly title. That was his first world title, or was it? No, it was his first world title. So we knew he could bang, but at 34, he'd only had 1 fight. That was last year against in Johannesburg in South Africa, and he'd knocked the guy out in 1 round. Prior to that, his last fight was in 2019 against John Riel Casimero, and he got knocked out in 3 rounds and really got mauled by Casimero. Now we know Casimero hits hard. We know he's a good fighter, but to chew up Tete in such an alarming manner did pose the question: has Tete got anything left? How much does he want it? And Tete proved the naysayers wrong. In his personal life, he had some issues with his personal life. His mother passed away, and if there's one thing that increases a fighter's focus and determination and courage and everything really about their psyche, it's if you've got a cause. If there's something that you really want to prove, that you want to make a statement for. This was Tete's thing. He wanted to win these titles for his mum, and he did it. And he did it in great fashion because both these fighters, Cunningham and Tete, southpaws, both tall for the weight, very tall. Kind of amazing that they both made super flyweight, but they did at one point. And they came out and it was a jab fest. For the whole 3 rounds prior to the 4th, which was the final round, it was a jab fest. But Tete was clearly winning it. He was more poised. His feints were a lot more subtle. He was sharper with his jab. Cunningham was kind of using his feet a bit more, trying to find an angle. He seemed to be the one looking for a way in, whereas Tete was the guy who was very relaxed, just being patient, waiting to spring, waiting to pounce, that sort of cobra mentality. Whereas Cunningham, I also looked like Cunningham was a bit wary of Tete's power. And the first 3 rounds, there isn't a great deal to say about them, other than the fact that it was a jab fest, a jabbing match. Tete did fire a couple of punches. I think one of them was in the 2nd round that didn't land cleanly, but nevertheless, as soon as he got close to Cunningham, you could see Cunningham was thinking, okay, I've got to get out of the way here and reset. But anyway, 3 rounds. I thought Tete won all 3 of the first 3 rounds. I thought Tete was 3-0 up. Then in the 4th round, it all unravelled very, very quickly for Jason Cunningham because he got hit by a flashing left cross. I mean, it really was very, very hard punch. Landed on the side, the right side of Cunningham's face, and put him on his backside. And he got up and he knew where he was. He wasn't totally rubber-legged, but he looked shaken. You know, the difference between looking rubber-legged, where you're really just all over the place and you don't have control of your legs, and being just shaken through, right, you know, from head to toe. And that was the impression I got with Cunningham. And he really needed to grab and hold and just fiddle his way through that fourth round. But it wasn't meant to be. It was a combination. I think there was another left cross, and I've only just watched the fight, so I might be misremembering this, but I think there was a hook in there somewhere. But either way, Jason Cunningham was knocked flat out, and you could have counted to 100. He wouldn't have got up. He was kept on the floor afterwards, did eventually rise. But ZOLANI TETE of South Africa, I think he becomes the first South African Commonwealth champ, and he's got this IBF title. So he's kind of back. He's kind of back in the world rankings, in the mix. Commiserations to Jason Cunningham, terrific fighter. You know, overachieved, really proved that you can learn from defeats and come back and win titles at a good level. And has beaten some good men, but no, ZOLANI TETE did what ZOLANI TETE of old does, and clearly, you know, mention of his demise has been exaggerated. He's got something left. Whether he can pick up another world title remains to be seen. But well done to Tete. Give a guy a cause, you know, like the passing of his mother. It focuses the mind. Anything that happens that's profound in life will focus your mind, unless you bury your head in the sand. And fighters tend not to bury their heads in the sand. That's one of the reasons we love them. Anyway, let me know what you think of the fight. Did you see it? It was on the undercard. It was the main support to the Joe Joyce Christian Hammer fight, which to me is a nothing fight. This was the main event for me. I think a lot of the people who are the inside trade, the trade people, boxing trade people, I think they kind of viewed this as the main event, really. And it was a good one. But there was only one winner all along, and that was ZOLANI TETE. Well done to him. Leave your comments below if you've got any. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the like button, that helps the channel greatly. If you could subscribe, we want to build the channel up. That would be fantastic. Thanks a lot. And as always, thanks for your time. We'll speak again soon. Bye for now.